So you don't want it bad enough, right? And this goes for like every domain in your life, whether it be fitness, business, or relationships. And those are the eternal markets, right? Those are the areas of the life that a lot of people want improvement in. So that's what I'm gonna talk about, right? On this channel, it's all gonna be about eternal markets, and it's not gonna be something about like gaming or whatever, right? Just because like a lot of grown ass people don't game, and like I don't game, because it's fucking gay, and like it's just not an area of life that you want to improve in, right? So yeah. So when you say let's say fitness, right? Like what do I mean by not going hard enough in terms of like fitness, right? I do say like fitness is above everything else because like health is your wealth, as they say. And if you don't have fitness, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything, right? Doesn't matter if you have wealth, if you don't have health, it doesn't matter, right? It just gets cancelled out. It doesn't get cancelled out, but like it's not, it's less enjoyable, right? If you have wealth than if you don't have health, right? So you need to tick off that box of health first, right? So your fitness first. So what do I mean by, in the context of like fitness? What do I mean by not going hard enough, right? Or not wanting bad enough, not wanting it bad enough, right? So what it means is you pretty much not going as hard as you can in the gym, and also nutrition wise, you're not taking your nutrition seriously, right? Those two, in a nutshell, is what it is, right? So, and how do you improve that? Pretty much in the gym, you need to go to a place where you haven't been physically before. So, pretty much just go as hard as you can on the weights, just upping the weight as much as you can. Obviously, don't get to a point where you like injure yourself, but you want it, you know that you want it bad enough. When you go to that point where you haven't been there before, and it actually induces muscle growth, and yeah, and compared to me, bro, like like I want it bad enough, like I want it as bad as I want to breathe, as cliche as it sounds. So yeah, I mean, like a lot of people, I go to the gym every day and I see like people just repping like their like half their potential, right? So like they just rip half their potential and they re-rack it. And I can see it in their faces. It's just like so obvious. Like they're not even tired. They're not like pushing themselves. They're not grunting. Like when you start grunting and like when you start like going out of breath, that's when you know like someone's pushing themselves. But these guys are just like, bro, oh, they're not even pushing themselves. So like half the people there don't even want to be there. It looks like they don't want to even be there, right? And that just goes to show like your priorities, right? Like like a lot of people don't want to be there because maybe they don't look a certain way. And that for me is like even more motivation and like even more fuel for me to go and like work on myself to get better and better every day. And like me seeing the progress every day, it's just like that'll be like the perfect scenario, right? um but a lot of people like they're insecure about their bodies and things like this. And they don't want to like like start exercising just because they don't want to show off their body or whatever, right? But as I said, like that would fill me even more, and that would literally like motivate me even more if I was them. And if you want to go even in depth into like what like sort of like fitness, what like lifting routine and like what will actually work for me, is pretty much like I've been doing this for 7 years now, and like the same thing worked for me over and over again. It's pretty much going heavy and heavy as possible on some sets, and it's a combination of going heavy as possible on some sets and light squeezing sets on some sets, right? So like when you start off, you want to be having as much tension on your like muscle groups as possible, and you want to pretty much go for the highest weight as you can, like the highest weight that you can rep possible, right? And once you get to a point where you can't do that anymore, you go into your later sets, which is your light squeezing sets. So like you choose a lightweight and you pretty much like start ripping that out. And you squeeze at the top and you squeeze probably at the bottom as well if you're doing like tricep push downs and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much how you like induce muscle growth. And that's pretty much it, bro. Like you need to put in the work, and you will see results in months or even years time. And again, like that's just what worked for me. I don't know what's gonna work for you depending on your muscle fibers. It can be like fast twitch or slow twitch. So like it can work differently for you. Like maybe you only go like with hard sets, like with like the higher weight portion of it, and not go with the light squeezing sets, just because your muscle fibers are acting differently than mine. Um, but yeah, that's the basic premise, and like if you follow that, you'll gain muscle. And obviously, like nutrition wise, you need to be in calorie surplus, and a lot of people like struggle with this. Being in a calorie surplus. I'm in a calorie surplus right now, as you can tell. But yeah, a lot of people struggle with it because it's harder to get the food down than actually like exercising. The exercising part is actually the easy part, and people get it flipped around. People think that the exercising part is the harder part, but when they get home, they just don't eat enough. And that just goes to show like who really wants it bad enough. And the thing is, like, the person that wants it bad enough goes on a calorie surplus and also tracks the macros. You know, um, if you have like a MyFitnessPal app or whatever, just track your calories on that, bro. Anyway, what do I mean by like wanting it bad enough in terms of like business, right? In terms of business, it's just you have to realize that it's all about like a knowledge gap. If you have the access to the right information at the right time, then you make gains, right? Make gains as in like business gains, right? So if you don't have access to the right information, you're gonna get left behind in the race of entrepreneurship, right? So like pretty much like the person that's willing to like invest in themselves, long term, and pretty much like just buy the course or whatever that's gonna teach them, because you're not gonna learn like all this like intricate stuff on a YouTube video, right? If it's like a really technical business model, you're not gonna learn everything on YouTube. But the person that literally like invests in themselves early on will yield a lot more results than you, uh, or anyone who doesn't invest in themselves early on, right? You need to realize that the pie for you, like the pie of like entrepreneurship, is like massive. But it's when you take it on like a business model standpoint, depending on the business model, the pie is not that big. Like unless you're in like the e-learning space, like I am, which is like $1 trillion fucking industry, multiple $1 trillion, or even like e-commerce. But even e-commerce isn't that big, considering it's been around for a while. Just because like dropshipping and like e-commerce has been around for like 20 years now. Like Amazon started probably like 20 years. So like Amazon is different, right? If you do dropshipping, it's still like it can get saturated really quickly, and it has gotten saturated pretty quickly because I've done it as well. I've tried dropshipping and I've failed at it. Well, I tried it and like I got some success of it, but then I failed later on. But anyway, that's a side tangent. But the pie is big, but it's not that big. You know what I mean? So like you can be the first to a product and like scale that up and make a bag off it. That's pretty much like what dropshipping is, right? Being the first to a product and marketing it better and like getting good creatives, creating good landing page, and getting traffic to it, right? But it's so expensive with like paid ads and stuff like that. Anyway, my point is like the longer a business model has been around for, the more saturated it gets. It's like the people that are like quick movers, people who are moving with speed, they'll actually get more of a market share than you, who's like messing around the fucking logo for like a day or so. Now, don't get me wrong, like you can make money with these business models still, because there's plenty of like teenagers and like people in the early 20s making money with dropshipping. But I'm saying it's not beginner friendly. Because like there's obviously like a lot of moving parts, and like it's hard to master all these skills in a short period of time. But the thing is, like, if you work hard enough, if you want it bad enough, you will find a way. If there's a will, there's a way, and that's why I say, like, the universe is very fair, right? You will get what you put in, and if you put in the work, you will get rewarded for it, right? So you gotta choose, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret, right? I hope you choose the right one, and I'll see you in my next video.